Egyptian President Abdel Fattah El-Sisi has emphasized the region's complex situation and ongoing aggression against Gaza and Lebanon during his speech at the Arab Islamic Summit in Riyadh. The Egyptian leader has further stated that the future of both the region and the world is at crossroads and that the aggression against Gaza and Lebanon will not be accepted. President El-Sisi reaffirmed Egypt's opposition to plans aimed at the forced displacement of Palestinians, stressing that Egypt has long shouldered the responsibility of leading the peace process and remains committed to it. Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul-Gheit has stated that international inaction has enabled Israel to escalate the conflict, underscoring the urgency of a ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon. He highlighted that true peace is incompatible with violence and injustice, accusing Israel of attempting to eliminate hopes for a Palestinian state and systematically undermining Gaza's society, noting that half of Gaza's population live on just 10% of its land. Abul-Gheit also warned that the crisis has reached an intolerable level, requiring adherence to UN Resolution 1701 in Lebanon. The Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Hussein Ibrahim Taha, has stated that the Riyadh Summit takes place as Israel is committing a genocide in Palestine and violating Lebanese territories. Taha further emphasized the need to implement the two-state solution and enforce the UN Security Council's ceasefire resolution in Gaza. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has urged Arab and Islamic nations to press the United Nations to suspend Israel's membership unless it abides by international law and holds its actions against Palestinians. He called for implementing Resolution 2735, which mandates ending aggression, ensuring humanitarian aid, and withdrawing forces from Gaza. Abbas also requested that nations reconsider ties with Israel, uphold Jerusalem's holy sites, and support Palestine's full UN membership. He emphasized the need to realize Palestinian funds and strengthen UNRWA's role in Palestine. Jordanian King Abdullah II called on brotherly and friendly nations to participate in launching a humanitarian bridge to break the blockade on Gaza. He also called for delivering urgent aid to the territory suffering from a humanitarian disaster. He stressed the need for immediate action to end the aggression, as well as halt the killing, destruction, and escalation in the region. King Abdullah stated that words have no place at the moment, as the world now needs serious positions and tangible efforts to end the tragedy, save Gazans, and provide the assistance they urgently need. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has criticized the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government for escalating military tensions in the region, including rising hostilities towards Iran, ongoing attacks on Lebanon, and blocking humanitarian aid to Gaza. Speaking at the summit, Erdogan stressed the urgent need to find solutions for delivering humanitarian aid to Gaza, highlighting Israel's destruction of Palestinian presence and its plans to maintain control over Gaza. He also condemned Israel's recent decision to ban UNRWA, calling it an attempt to eliminate the two-state solution and prevent Palestinians' return to their homeland. The Turkish president called for Israel to be internationally isolated unless it ends its aggression in Gaza and Lebanon, advocating for an arms embargo and additional trade restrictions on Israel. Turkey has already imposed further trade limitations with Israel. In his speech at the summit, Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati confirmed that more than 3,200 people, including 775 children and women, have been martyred and over 4,000 injured due to Israeli aggression on Lebanon. Mikati emphasized Lebanon's urgent need for peace and security to strengthen regional stability. He called for an immediate halt to Israeli attacks on Lebanon and the declaration of a ceasefire, reaffirming his country's commitment to UN Resolution 1701. In his speech at the summit, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has emphasized that the ongoing Israeli aggression cannot be viewed in isolation from the broader Palestinian cause. He stated that if Arab and Islamic countries continue to address the attacks on Gaza with fragmented approaches, they risk paving the way for further massacres that could annihilate the Palestinian people and erase the cause itself. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has expressed support for efforts to end the violence, destruction and suffering faced by the Palestinians. He emphasized the need for effective action to address Israel's actions in Palestinian territories and called for the return of UNRWA operations within Palestine. In his speech during the summit in Riyadh, Ibrahim stated that Israel has surpassed all limits with its acts of genocide against the defenseless Palestinian people. He urged the global community to support the expulsion of Israel from the United Nations due to the threat it poses to the Middle East and the world, as well as to force it to end its massacres against the Palestinians. Uzbekistan's President Shavkat Mirziyoyev has expressed support for all practical initiatives aimed at resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict through diplomatic means. Speaking at the extraordinary Arab-Islamic Summit in Riyadh, he called for an immediate halt to Israeli military operations and reaffirmed the Palestinian people's right to an independent state. Mauritanian President Mohamed Ould Cheikh Al Ghazouani has stated that Israel continues to violate international and humanitarian law by continuing its killing in Gaza and extending its aggression to Lebanon. Speaking at the Arab Islamic Summit in Riyadh, Al Ghazouani affirmed full solidarity with Lebanon in the face of Israeli aggression and reiterated the call for an immediate ceasefire. He also emphasized that the establishment of a Palestinian state is a fundamental condition for achieving peace. Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has stated that the Palestinian people are facing unprecedented violence from Israel. In his speech during the Riyadh Summit, he added that Israeli violations have targeted humanitarian organizations. He also emphasized the call for full condemnation of Israel's actions in Palestine. The annual UN Climate Summit has begun, with countries preparing for intense discussions on finance and trade. This comes after a year of severe weather disasters that has strengthened demands for developing nations for increasing climate funding. The outgoing COP28 President Sultan Al-Jaber opened the summit, then handed over the presidency to Azerbaijan's Mukhtar Babayev, who declared this summit a moment of truth for the Paris Agreement. Delegates in Baku aim to tackle the summit's top agenda item, which is securing an agreement for up to $1 trillion annually in climate finance for developing countries, replacing the previous $100 billion target.